Early October in Kentucky can often be some of the most pleasant of seasons. Fall teases the landscape with a touch of color and cooler temperatures, and not quite fully fall, but not ready to let go of the summer just yet either. And I was on another overnight canoe trip, once again on Kentucky's Barren River Lake, and exploring the area north of what is known as the Narrows. In previous weeks, I had made a couple of day trips into this area and discovered a very nice and somewhat secluded camping spot. A canoe trip into this new area required a leisurely and unhurried paddle, and it turned out again to be a very marvelous and wonderful venture. Good morning. We're back up here on Barren River Lake. I'm heading along the Narrows again. It's been almost 3 weeks since I was here last. Surprisingly, the fall colors have not advanced all that much, but it is still a gorgeous day. A little breezier today than what I'd prefer, but it's not too bad. Most of it's at my back today, so that's not going to be a problem. We're gonna go about 3.5 miles. Not too far. There's a peninsula up around the bend here a little ways that I discovered last time I was up here, and we're going to do an overnight trip. We're going to do some campfiring. We're going to do some photography. Probably go through some rope tying, some knot tying, things like that a little bit later on, kind of show you some of the knots and stuff that I've learned how to use over the years. Mostly it's just going to be a simple outing, nothing fancy. Just going to have a good day today, and just enjoy the scenery, enjoy a couple of days out on the lake. So come and join me. We're going to be out here beyond the campfire. We're going to have a good time. Right along in here, you can see on the side, just to my right, this long series of bluffs. It kind of winds its way around for a pretty good little distance. I'd say probably a good half mile or more. And it's just absolutely gorgeous. It's beautiful. There's some fall colors up in those trees, but not a lot. If you look out across the lake, you'll see some on the other side. But just paddling along these bluffs is really nice. Right now the wind is out of the south, and so I'm on the north side of this ridge, so I'm kind of protected from the wind for now. But when I get out, when I get up around this bend a little bit, it's going to be, I'll have more of a tailwind. But yeah, I tell you, this is just absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous part of the lake right here. And I have really enjoyed it. Just kind of listen to the sounds here. I think that's an osprey up in that tree somewhere up there. You can hear cheeping. Okay. All right.
I'm going to show you a few knots that I've used over the years. Most of these I learned when I was in the Coast Guard, and I use them all the time. I've used them every day since then almost. And they're real simple knots. The thing about a knot, when you tie a knot working with rope, is there's two characteristics to it. One is that it has to be easy to tie, and just as importantly, it has to be easy to untie. I used to get on to my old good buddy Rocky. He could tie some bohemian knots that were never going to come loose. And once you got them tied, you weren't going to get them untied. But boy, they would hold. They were hard. I used to kid him all the time, and I'd pick up one of his ropes or something that he'd tied a knot on, and I'd say something like, "Rocky, there ain't nothing like a well-tied knot, and this is nothing like a well-tied knot." You know. So anyway, it was kind of a little private joke between the two of us. But the line that I like to use more than any of them is this twisted line. It's a three-strand twisted line. It's not braided. I like the twisted kind because it doesn't stretch as much. Like the braided line is more elastic and it'll stretch more. This stuff doesn't stretch very much. And I put on the end of it, I put what's called a whipping on there, and that keeps it from unraveling. A lot of times you can just take a cigarette lighter or something and melt the ends of it. But as you can see, that doesn't hold very well. You got to put something on there that'll take it to the end, and that's real easy to do. You take some thin line like this. I don't know if you can see it or not. You take some thin line like this. It's very small, very strong, and then you just make a loop in it like so. Can you see that? Make a loop in it, and then make sure you have a little bit extra line there. Then you take the loose piece like this, okay, and you just start wrapping it around it, and then to keep it real close, you just keep wrapping and pulling it tight and pulling it tight. And I'm just going to go real quick through it and just pulling it tight and pulling it tight. You want to go at least 4 or 5 loops, something like that. And then on the last little piece, you just tuck underneath there like so. And then you take the other end and you just pull it, okay, and then you just tuck it. It tucks itself. You pull it real tight and it tucks it in there and it holds it in there. Then you can snip it off, do whatever you want. But you end up with something that looks something like this. Okay. Real simple. I didn't do this one all the way because I want to undo it. But that's the first one that I want to show you. Another one is sometimes you want to put an eye in the end of the line. There's a lot of different ways of doing that, but this is the easiest and the best one. It's called a bowline. It's real simple. You just take a piece, take a stretch about 1.5 foot long or so, 1 foot long, and you just kind of make a loop like this. You go over the top of it. See that? You go right over the top, and then you take the other end. It's called the bitter end. You run it through, behind the other side, and then back through like so, and then you just pull it tight like so, and that's going to makes a nice little eye in the end of the line, and it'll hold really, just not going to slip. And the nice thing about it is it just comes right off. You can just undo it, no problem at all. Another way of doing that, and I'm not going to take the time to show that today, is to back weave it. Take this piece and back weave it into itself like so. You will end up with something that looks like this. You see I've got a little whipping here on the end of it, and I've got some whipping here on the other end to keep it from kind of unraveling. And it makes a really nice loop, and there's a permanent loop or a permanent eye, and it looks really, really, like a really nice piece of rope work. But a lot of times I just use the bowline because it's so quick and easy. I can do it, and I can just do it in a few seconds, like so. Okay. Another one is sometimes you want to attach one line to another, and it's usually when you have a line that's smaller than the other one. I'm just going to use the other end here because it does the same thing. But like in this case, I've got this rope here, and you see it's quite a bit smaller. if you want to attach this to this line, and you use what's called a Beckett bend. And there's a Beckett bend and there's a double Beckett bend, and they look basically the same, but I'll show you what it does. And what you do is you take it and you make a loop in the end of it. I've got an eye right now, but you can just do it like this. You just make a loop in the end of it like so. And then you can take that up through there. And then you bring it behind and then loop it underneath itself and then pull it snug like so. And that attaches that line to that one. If you have an eye in the end of it, whether it be a bowline or whether it be a permanent eye like this, you can do the same. It's the same thing. Bring it up like so. Run it through there and snug it up, and that makes a nice little loop. Now that's a single Beckett bend. You can do a double Beckett bend. Same thing. Except it takes a little bit more line. You run it through twice. Once, and you run it through a second time, like so. And then you just kind of snug it up, and it makes it a little more snug. Makes it a little bit more snug of a knot. Okay. That's real simple. Another one would be just the old square knot. Now, if you were in Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts or whatever, a square knot is simple. You use it for a lot of different things, but you go right over left, you go right over left, and then left over right, and it comes out with the ends pointing in the same direction or from the same side, like so. That's what's called a square knot. It's real simple. It holds real well, and real basic knot. Another knot is like sometimes you want to attach a line to something that's like a bar or something, you know, across. You attach a line to a bar. Well, you want to take your end here and you can flip it over like so, like so, flip it over, and then you flip it over again, but you cross it like that. You know, if you can see that or not, I hope you can. Cross it, and then you bring it other end and you pull it underneath that other side, and then you just sort of kind of snug it up like so. And see, and it hangs, and what that does is that allows it to hang. See, it's not going to slip. It cinches down on itself and it doesn't slip. So hopefully you can see that. That's a real handy knot. Rice and chicken tonight. Got this roasted chicken from Uncle Ben's. It's already just kind of dump it in and then add a little water to it. Chicken breast. Put some of that in there. Warm it up. Ready to eat. Now I forgot my utensils. So I'm going to have to eat with my spatula today. That's alright. No problem at all. Almost done. I brought a book with me.
one that I probably bought about 10 years ago. It's called Chasing Lewis and Clark Across America. And it's about a guy who built a home-built airplane that's specifically designed for aerial photography. And I think the original prototype was made for National Geographic, so they could shoot some aerial shots out in Africa or somewhere. And anyway, he ended up getting one of these and building it himself. He and his son built it, and then he took off on this adventure to where he traced the Lewis and Clark expedition from St. Louis all the way up the Missouri, and then across the mountains, and then down the Columbia to the west coast, and then all the way back. And he did that with from the air, and he had a support crew that goes with him that, you know, had a truck and a camper thing, and they would fly to specific destinations and stay there for however long they needed to stay. And then he would photograph these places along the way. And it's really a fascinating book. It's just filled with all kinds of fantastic photographs. And I'm going to spend a little time reading through it. I dig it out every now and then and dig through it, and it kind of gets me fired up about getting out and doing things. It's a really good book. All right, now we can go. Yeah, this area here is some really nice bluffs on it. The rocky ledges probably go up 30 feet or maybe 40 feet in places. I like fishing along these kind of drop-offs like this. They tend to hold bass pretty well, but fishing's been pretty tough this year up here for me, and I've not done all that well. Could be too that I just haven't fished that much, but when I have fished, just not done all that well with it. So, but I'm not using all the electronic gadgetry that guys with the big bass boats use. I'm pretty old school in my way of fishing. I fish visible structure or structure that I know that's submerged, and that has a tendency to work pretty well overall over the years. I've done quite well doing that. But I've always been amazed too, the sycamore tree right here just growing right out of these rocks. And I don't know how long that tree's been there, but it's amazing to me that there's a bunch of them along here that have done that. How things can just grow right out of a rock. But I love this. It's a beautiful part of the lake. My camp spot was to the right here about, it might have been a half mile over there. It probably wasn't quite a half mile. And it's a nice little spot, except it was kind of sandy, a little sandier than I thought it was going to be. And
that sand just gets into and onto everything. And this morning was a mess, getting all packed up. But beautiful spot, beautiful spot. Let me do a little paddling here and give you kind of a tour. This is a nice little bluff here. I love this bluff. Just around the bend here is actually a little cove, and there's a private boat dock in there. But just look at these bluffs. They're just gorgeous.